Welcome to Untold Dark Story, where we uncover the secrets that history tried to forget. Tonight, we travel back to a lonely American highway, to a place where one woman's voice still cries out through the silence. A motel that hides a secret so dark, even the walls remember. This is the story of the woman in room 303. On the outskirts of a quiet Midwestern town stood a decaying motel called the Silver Moon Inn. The locals whispered that one room, room 303, hadn't welcomed a real guest since the 1980s. Some nights, travelers swore they heard soft sobbing coming from behind its locked door, though no light ever flickered inside. One cold November evening, a storm rolled in from the west. Sarah Miller, a 29-year-old journalist traveling alone, pulled into the motel's cracked driveway. She was researching an article on unsolved disappearances. When she asked for a room, the old manager hesitated, then slid a single tarnished key across the counter. "Room 303, he muttered. "Don't stay longer than one night." The room smelled faintly of dust and roses. The wallpaper peeled, the mirror on the wall had a long crack down the center. Sarah turned on the lamp, and saw someone had written 3 words on the nightstand in faded ink. "Help me, Eleanor." The rain outside masked a soft, rhythmic tapping from inside the walls. Plug in her laptop, she noticed something glint beneath the bed. She pulled out a dusty photograph, a woman in a red dress, smiling with shy eyes. On the back, Eleanor James 1983. A shiver crawled down Sarah's spine. She had seen that name once, buried in an old missing person case. That night, the tapping grew louder. Sarah stared into the cracked mirror and saw her reflection blink. A moment later, another woman's face appeared. Pale, terrified, a whisper brushed the air. "He said he'd love me forever, then he buried me here." Images flooded Sarah's mind. A younger woman, Eleanor, arriving with her husband Thomas Gray in the summer of 1983. Newly married, running from debts, seeking a fresh start. But by the end of that week, Eleanor would vanish, and Thomas would tell the sheriff she'd run off with another man. The case was closed within days. Nobody questioned the bruises he hid beneath his sleeves. In Sarah's visions, the truth unfolded. Eleanor confronted her husband that night. She'd discovered he'd been using her name to launder money. His rage exploded. Neighbors heard shouting, a crash, then silence. Thomas checked out alone at dawn. He told the clerk Eleanor had decided to stay behind. Sarah woke drenched in sweat. The floor beneath the carpet creaked oddly near the bed. Heart pounding, she pulled the carpet away, revealing wooden boards discolored with age. When she pried one loose, the stench of decay filled the room. Beneath, skeletal remains wrapped in a red dress. The next morning, Sarah confronted the manager. His face turned pale. "We all knew," he whispered. The sheriff was Thomas's cousin. They buried it to keep the town quiet. He slid an envelope toward her. Inside, an old motel ledger. Room 303, Eleanor Gray, check in June 12, 1983. Check out, never. Sarah called the police. But when they arrived, the floorboards were spotless. No skeleton, no blood. Only the red dress remained, neatly folded on the bed. "Ma'am," one officer said, "this room's been sealed for decades." Sarah's phone recording had vanished too. That evening, Sarah packed in silence and drove off. The storm had cleared. The sky glowed crimson at sunset. In her rear-view mirror, she thought she saw a figure in red sitting in the back seat. A soft voice whispered, "Thank you for finding me." A week later, police found Sarah's car abandoned near Lake Monroe. The driver's door was open, engine still running. On the passenger seat lay a notebook filled with scribbled words repeating over and over, "She's not gone. She's free." No trace of Sarah was ever found. The Silver Moon Inn was demolished in 1998. But travelers claim that when they drive past the empty lot, their radio cuts to static. Some say, if you listen closely, a woman's voice hums a lullaby beneath the noise, and for a second, headlights flash as though another car passes, though the road is empty. They say the dead don't rest until their truth is heard. For Eleanor James, that truth lived in silence for 40 years. And for Sarah Miller, the journalist who listened, her name, too, is now etched among the missing. Sometimes, uncovering the past means joining it. If you ever find yourself driving through a forgotten town, and you see a motel sign glowing red in the storm, keep driving. Some rooms are never meant to be reopened. This was the woman in room 303. Subscribe for more shadows from the dark side of truth.